Yeah, what it dang dizzily doo wop. I am Zachary D, the Palsy Papa, and this is Palsy Papa Presents. The first thing we must tackle is the disordered thought that we simply don't have time for a particular activity. You, if you are watching this video, of course, have been gifted the same 24-hour day as everyone else. Rightly, you might say that you have certain obligations that limit your access to those 24 hours. This is true without a doubt, and there is a disorder worth exploring in another episode, the concept of over and under obligation. In this moment, though, the disorder of not having time doesn't lie with that which we are obligated, but rather how we spend that time in which we have no such obligation. We must acknowledge that those things we spend our time on are things which we have given some level of importance. Those hours which we spend scrolling social media, playing video games, watching YouTube videos, even going out with our family, we make value judgments of every waking moment on how we ought to spend that time. When we make the claim that we don't have time for an activity, we're really saying we didn't make time for that activity. Placing on whatever activity is a placing on whatever that activity is a lower value judgment than how we chose to spend our time. Of course, we ease this by placing the onus of the judgment on the clock and not ourselves or our own will. This creates a friction, a tension, a disorder of our whole life. At this point, if we fully commit to the principle that we simply don't have time, we must find nothing as our fault. Everything is simply a matter of not having that proverbial 25th hour. We find ourselves willing to investigate this further, we begin to see its falsity. If it is true, then why do we feel bad about spending a day binging Netflix? Why do we say things like, I wish I could have gone with you, spending our time instead in our pajamas and doing nothing productive? Why then do we say things like, I need to exercise? If it were simply the clock, the phrase should be, if the clock had more hours, I would exercise. This, of course, is the heart of this series of videos, confronting these tensions head on and calling each other to orient ourselves again to a more cognitively complete thought process. You may at this point recognize this dissonance within yourself, and that's good. But you may say, well, true for me, or some other subjective formulation. But if we widen our scope even slightly to those people we know, we can't help but recognize an objectivity to this disorder. How many people do you know that are dissatisfied with the way they spend their gifted time? If they if this were subjectively true and only able to affect a person when they realize this truth, then we expect to see throngs and throngs of perfectly contented people. You may then object that there only exists some other disorder causing this discontentment. While it is true that there are other disorders at play, you could rewind this video and see the underpinnings of my defense of the premise that how we spend our gifted time is foundational to our being content with our lives and ourselves. For clarity, because there are other disorders at play in finding true happiness, it should be noted that this is not a treatise on how we should spend our time, but a call to acknowledge that you have the power over how you spend your leisure. Instead of blaming the clock, start admitting that you didn't make time for an activity. This will inevitably cause you to evaluate the way that you spend your time. This period of evaluation is a positive use of your time as much as it takes to get it right. This will also be hard work. Again, a positive. This may even seem impossibly hard, and there's yet another disorder we could address in a separate video, namely the aversion to difficult work. It may help to endeavor to show the fruits of this work so it will become not merely a theoretical positive, but an active, lived one. In my own life, I have to mention that this disorder was not something I came to on my own, but it was brought to the forefront of my mind by a dear friend. That's the point of this video and overall this series, because I hope to do that for others. It is necessary to jar yourself awake to a disorder to confront it. Over the months since this jarring experience, I must admit that I've not been pristine in my use of my time, but I've been able to take those failures, examine them against what I claim to value, and make sure my evaluations on how I should spend my time are rightly ordered and resolve to do better immediately, not tomorrow or some other time in the future, but right now. The fruits of this work, put as simply as I can, are a much more clear conscience when I don't do something because the ownership falls on me and the decision was in line with my value judgment. Also, the truth is, I spend less time in the void of nothingness that is binging media. I am much more aware that I could be doing something else. The result, this results in me, in general, not just being content with how my day went, but the trajectory of my life. Of course, there are other ways that I have ordered my thinking that contribute to that as well. I will pray for each of you watching this video. We may take up the challenge herein, myself included, to more fully order ourselves to it. As always, my comment section is open, and there are other ways for me to be contacted in the description of the video. I am ever open to discussion, debate, and corrections on this and any other topic covered on this channel. God bless us all. All right, let's go ahead and make a little effort to unpack that. I want to kind of use that music as a separator from when we dive out of scripted into a more free flow. The honest truth is, this is hard. This is difficult. This is not easy. What I'm proposing here. It's not easy because I find often people don't take self ownership very well. They don't take responsibility very well. And frankly, I don't know why that is. I mean, I think every individual is going to have a more a more nuanced answer as to why they have an aversion to responsibility. I don't think it's consistent. I don't think it's um, one size fits all, and I don't think it's objective. I don't think there's an objectively true reason why we have an aversion to responsibility. But I, I think that if you lay this video out and you really listen to what I wrote here, and you start to really evaluate your um, day, um, then you might find places where you could have better spent your time and thus lead you down the road to more happiness. A perfect example of this is um, this channel. I didn't, I, coming back to this channel, I did not in any way, shape, or form um, I did not in any way, shape, or form like spend a bunch of time trying to get my images right. I didn't go get a haircut, even though I need one. I didn't go do a lot of the things that you might expect somebody to do if they were going to head back to this YouTube platform. Now, why? Because it was just putting it off. I've had uh, these last two essays written for, oh my goodness, so long. And I got tired of putting it off. I now have in my week one day where I can be fairly certain that I um, am not going to run into other um, other issues. I'm not going to run into uh, other obligations. And if I can do two or three videos in a setting and make an effort to do those and uh, put those out. Now I'm not gonna edit these videos. I'm not doing it. I'm recording it. I'm putting it up as if it were live. I'm not doing a whole lot in the way of editing. We're not gonna look fancy. I may go back and make an effort for some thumbnails, but the point there is I had to start. If I say that I value doing this YouTube channel, I have to start. I have to do it again. If I say that I value this channel, and I have over the last year and a half that I've been, almost 2 years that I've been off this channel, I claim to value this channel. Um, and if I claim that, and I want that to be true, I have to start doing it. So, my challenge to each of you is to take what you claim to value, what you claim to hold as important, and do it. Take the time and do it. Make an effort to go ahead and start. Whatever it is, whatever it is that you value. We're not talking about here what you should value or what you should do. Whatever it is you claim to value, do it. Do it. And do it well. Anyway, I am Zachary D, the Palsy Papa. And as always, tickle that notification pickle. Punch that subscribe button in the nuts. Lick that like button. And go ahead and leave a comment and talk to me in that com box. You dig? Till Saturday. I'm out.